Do you want to help your students become stronger readers this year? I'm sure you do. That's why you're here. Hey everyone, I'm Emily with the Stellar Teacher team, and I'm here to tell you that strong comprehension starts with simple and consistent routines inside your literacy block. Today we're going to talk about 3 literacy routines that you can introduce at the beginning of the school year, or any time of the year for that matter, to set your students up for comprehension success. Okay, these routines are research-backed, classroom tested, and designed to make a big difference over time. Let's jump in. So first, let's start talking about why do routines matter? The beginning of the year is the perfect time to establish these strong habits in our readers. When students know what to expect, and when they practice these important skills with consistency, they build confidence and the ability to tackle more and more complex texts as the school year goes on. And even if it's not the very start of the school year, I want you to know that it is never too late to introduce routines. When I was in the classroom, I relied on routines so much. It just makes your classroom run like a well-oiled machine, and it even gives you that peace of mind that your students can go on without you in a way. So I could take a sick day and not feel guilty because I knew that my students knew what to do when I wasn't there. In addition to those things, instructional routines are just essential because they help reduce cognitive load for both students and teachers. When routines are in place, students don't have to waste mental energy or working energy thinking about what are they supposed to do now, or how am I supposed to do this activity? Instead, they can focus their brain power and all their thinking on the actual skill or content that they're learning. And these routines are also beneficial for teachers. They're streamlining classroom management and instructional time. You spend less time giving directions or troubleshooting confusion and more time supporting the learning. And similar to our students, the predictability of routine frees up the working memory in the teacher's brain too, and creates a calmer, more focused classroom environment where everyone can engage more deeply. Who doesn't want that? Okay, so here's a preview of the routines I'm going to talk about. 3 high impact routines that I'm going to talk about: explicit vocabulary instruction, writing about reading, and a weekly fluency practice. You have spent any time inside the Stellar Teacher world, you know how important these 3 routines are, and you know that we love to talk about them. Okay, routine number 1, explicitly teach vocabulary. So we know vocabulary is the foundation of comprehension. The research shows that students need to know 90 to 95% of the words in the text to understand it. So the first routine that we really want to practice is explicit vocabulary instruction. Every time we introduce a new vocabulary word, we're going to do the 5 things. Introduce the word with a kid-friendly definition, analyze its structure, looking at prefixes, suffixes, syllables, things like that. 3, we're going to show the word in context, whether that's through example sentences or pictures. Super important step. Next, we're going to connect our new word to known words using synonyms and antonyms. And finally, we're going to give our students an opportunity to engage with the new word, like yes or no questions or sentence stems. So routine 1 has to do with vocabulary, and those are the 5 things we want to do. Every time we teach a vocabulary word, teachers will get used to this structure, and we're going to be teaching vocabulary in a way that's going to align with best practices. That brings me to routine number 2, and that's going to be writing about reading. Writing about reading is another super impactful routine that we can introduce to our students early on and continue throughout the year. This is one of the most effective ways to deepen comprehension. When students put their thoughts on paper, they have to clarify their understanding, they're practicing their writing skills, syntax, parts of speech, etc., and that mental work makes such a huge difference in their reading comprehension. So here's the simple routine. Here are 3 activities that you can rotate throughout the year. Number 1 is summarize what we've read. So you just read a nonfiction text and you're going to have your students summarize what they read. Seems pretty simple. It might be a challenge at first, but as your students get better and better at summarizing, that skill continues throughout the year. Another option for this is to have your students summarize in 10 words or fewer. That can be a bit of a challenge, but the benefit is that it's taking less time and your students are really having to think deeply about what words to choose. Here's another writing task that you can use. Write a short review. Students can read a nonfiction or a fiction text and share their reaction to the text. They can rate the text and they can tell why they liked it or why they didn't like it. Maybe they want to recommend it to a friend, or maybe they wouldn't recommend it to a friend, and then they would explain why. The last writing task that I will suggest that you use is the old standby, having students respond to a prompt or a comprehension question. Of course, this is nothing new, but with those 3 tasks and you just rotate through them as you read throughout the year, your students become more and more familiar with these procedures and they're really focused on what's important, that is comprehension of the text. So my advice, keep it simple. You don't need brand new prompts every day. A few consistent writing routines each week can have a major impact on students' thinking and their comprehension. Rolling right through to literacy routine number 3, establish a weekly fluency practice. Now, fluency isn't just about speed, it's also about things like phrasing, pacing, expression. We also know that when students read fluently, they're freeing up that mental working energy to focus on the comprehension. So here's a simple structure that you can follow every week. On Monday, we're going to introduce the passage and students are going to complete a quick self-reflection assessment. They read through the text and then they complete the self-reflection. Tuesday is choral reading. They're going to read the passage together. Wednesday is echo reading. So you're going to model a sentence or a phrase and your students are going to repeat it back to you. This is especially important to practice that phrasing and pacing piece of fluency. Thursday is partner reads. This is a student favorite. Students practice with a buddy. You can even have your students complete an assessment on one another. And this is something that you would introduce at the beginning of the year, how to give constructive feedback, things like this. And your students will be able to take that to the bank all the way through the school year. And finally, Friday of our fluency routine is performance reading and a second self-assessment to track growth. So maybe you'll have your students use technology and record themselves reading. Maybe you'll have them share it with a small group or share it in front of the class. And then they're going to complete a self-assessment to track their own growth. Fluency routines do not have to take a lot of time, but by doing them consistently over time, our students get stronger and stronger, not only at their fluency, but then of course at their comprehension as well. Okay, so here's the big takeaway. Strong comprehension is not just built through complicated lessons, teaching to the standard, one-time activities. Strong comprehension is built through consistent, meaningful literacy routines that are practiced week after week. Reading comprehension is such a complex cognitive skill, you guys. We know this. Reading comprehension depends on multiple skills, like understanding vocabulary, understanding syntax, understanding fluency. That's why we need to rely on these simple routines, consistency, and this will lay the foundation for our student success all year long. So, small steps, practice consistency, lead to incredible growth. Okay, let me know which of these literacy routines you're already using in the classroom, which ones are you excited to try out, and I cannot wait to hear about your students' success. Okay, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the Stellar Teacher channel for more practical or research-based literacy tips. Happy teaching, everyone.